Adventurous kids explore with education and learning what a wild life is in the Everglades. I want to explore the Museum of Discovering Science. What plants do butterflies like? I want to know about Key West. Adventurous kids, learning and fun. Adventurous kids!
Today I'm going to tell you about poetry. Poetry is a type of literature or artistic writing that attempts to stir a reader's imagination or emotion. A poet is a person who creates poetry. The poet does this by carefully choosing and arranging language for its meaning, sound, or rhythm. Some poems, such as nursery rhymes, are simple and humorous. Other poems may try to express some truth about life, tell a story, or to honor a person or a god. Many musical artists present their song lyrics as poetry. People throughout the world have been writing poems for thousands of years. Poetry appears in a great many forms and styles. This makes it difficult to define it exactly. Poetry is believed to be the oldest form of literature. One thing that makes poems different from other types of writing is their structure. The words of a poem are arranged in lines and groups of lines, called stanzas. Poets use patterns of rhythm to create various effects. Some syllables or parts of words in a line naturally receive more emphasis or stress than others. For example, in the phrase hedges and ditches, the hedge and the ditch sounds are stressed more than the other sounds. The stressing of certain syllables creates a particular rhythm. A poem rhythm is called its meter. Poets also use patterns of sound. Some poems rhyme, or use two or more words that end with the same sound, such as cat and bat. A poem may repeat sounds in many other ways. For example, in high as a kite, the long I sound is repeated. In a stroke of luck, the K sound is repeated. Alliteration is another way a poem repeats sounds. A group of words that start with the same sound, such as a dark and dangerous day, uses alliteration. Another poetic sound device is onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia is the use of a word or words that sound like what they are meant to represent. Buzz, hiss, and cuckoo are examples of onomatopoeia. Some poems follow strict patterns of meter, sound, and length. For instance, the sonnet is a form of poetry that consists of 14 lines of 10 syllables each. It also follows a set pattern of rhythm and rhyme. Haiku is a form of poetry with 3 lines. Each line has a fixed number of syllables, 5 syllables in the first and third lines, and 7 syllables in the second line. Some poems do not use any set of form. Instead, they use rhythms that are closer to those of everyday speech. These poems are known as free verse. However, the poet may still carefully arrange the sounds and rhythm. A figure of speech is a way to express the meaning of something without saying it directly. Figures of speech are used frequently in poetry. In fact, metaphors are considered to be the basic language of poetry. A metaphor can be used to compare something unfamiliar or difficult to understand with something that is familiar to the reader. William Shakespeare used metaphors throughout his plays. A simile is also a figure of speech. It is a more direct way to compare two things. Similes use the words like or as to show how one thing is similar to another. She is as wise as an owl, or eats like a bird, are both examples of similes. A more modern approach is digital poetry. Computers and web technology are used to express poetry and make it interactive. So-called interdisciplinary poetry, which means a combination of different forms of poetry, are made possible by linking the poetic text with audio, video, or web animation, e.g. with CSS, or among themselves via hyperlinks. Modern artists use digital poetry to not only express artistic intention, but also design the layout around their text. World Poetry Day takes place every year on March 21st. It was declared by UNESCO, also known as the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, in 1999, with the aim of supporting linguistic diversity through poetic expression and increasing the opportunity for endangered languages to be heard. Its purpose is to promote the reading, writing, publishing, and teaching of poetry throughout the world. As the original UNESCO declaration says, to give fresh recognition and impetus to national, regional, and international poetry movements. April is National Poetry Month, 30 days of celebrating the joy, expressiveness, and pure delight of poetry. Most of you will recognize the names of famous poets such as Edgar Allan Poe or William Shakespeare. But there is more to poetry than a few notable men. Here is a list of some of the other famous poets: Emily Dickinson, Alexander Pope, Michelle Silverstein, Naomi Shihab, Riled Love, Maya Angelou, Paul Laurence Dunbar, Amanda Gorman, Paul Fishman, and William Blake. And before concluding this episode, there's one other poet that I'd like to give a commemoration to, or a salute to. The famous Cat in the Hat creator, Dr. Seuss. Here we go. I cannot see. I cannot go. I cannot chew. I cannot blink. OMG! What can I do? My memory shrinks. My hearing stinks. No sense of smell. I look like heck. My mood is bad. Can't you tell? My body's drooping. I have trouble going. The golden years are here at last. The golden years, can you fill in the rest? Thanks so much for watching the 700th Adventurous Kids episode. Blessed be. Also, if you want to see more episodes, subscribe and ring that bell if you want to know. What did you learn today?
Adventurous Kids!
Adventurous Kids!
What was the most interesting fact?
Adventurous Kids!
Adventurous Kids!
Adventurous